My name is Diego. I am a storyteller from the United States. I always believed in the sanctity of my marriage with Margaret, the woman I promised to love and cherish. For years, we built a life together, filled with laughter and shared dreams. But one night, as the clock ticked past midnight, unease gripped my heart. Margaret had said she was working late, but something felt off. The air was thick with unspoken doubt. Out of desperation, I decided to track her phone, hoping to dispel my fears. As the screen lit up with a map pinpointing her location, my heart raced. Each passing second felt like an eternity. The truth revealed itself, unraveling the fabric of my reality. Margaret was not at work. She was with John. The world spiraled around me as I sank to my knees. The pain of betrayal cut deeper than any knife ever could. I had always sensed something was amiss, yet I clung to the hope that our love would prevail. Now, standing in the shadows of my shattered dreams, I faced the tangled web of love, trust, and heartbreak with only a whisper of who I once was left inside me. It was a chilly November morning when I found myself standing in the kitchen, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting through the air. I had planned everything meticulously for our anniversary. Margaret and I had been married for 10 years, and I wanted to make this day special. I had envisioned a surprise getaway, just the two of us, to rekindle the love that had once burned so brightly between us. As I flipped pancakes on the griddle, a sense of excitement bubbled within me. I imagined Margaret's smile when she walked through the door, greeted by the warmth of our home and the delightful scent of breakfast. However, as I prepared, my younger brother, Ryan, sent me a series of texts that began to chip away at my anticipation. "Hey man, you heard about Margaret and John?" he wrote, the words striking me like a cold gust of wind. I paused, the spatula hovering above the pan, my heart pounding. John was a coworker of Margaret's, someone I had always trusted. There had never been any reason for suspicion, but Ryan's message stirred something deep within me. I tried to dismiss the doubts creeping into my mind, but as I continued to cook, the unease grew. I caught snippets of conversations at work, whispers about Margaret and John being seen together outside of the office. Each rumor felt like a dagger, twisting deeper into my chest. Everything is fine, I told myself, but the words felt hollow. I focused on the breakfast preparations, pouring orange juice into glasses, setting the table with our best plates. Yet, each clink of the silverware reminded me of the uncertainty lurking in the corners of my mind. As the clock ticked closer to the time Margaret usually arrived home, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I decided to confront her about it. I had found a small keychain in her purse a few days earlier, one I didn't recognize, and it weighed heavily on my conscience. I wanted to believe in her, in us, but the signs were too glaring to ignore. When Margaret finally walked through the door, her smile greeted me like a ray of sunshine, momentarily lifting the dark clouds that loomed over my thoughts. "Happy anniversary!" she exclaimed, her arms wrapping around me in a warm embrace. I held her tight, breathing in her familiar scent, but the joy was tainted by the nagging doubts. "Margaret," I began, my voice barely above a whisper. She pulled back, concern flickering in her eyes. "Can we talk?" "Of course, Diego. Is everything okay?" she asked, her brow furrowing as she stepped back to look at me. I took a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. "I found something in your purse," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "A keychain. I don't recognize it. Can you tell me where it came from?" Her expression shifted, a shadow crossing her face. "Oh, that? I must have picked it up at work. It's just a little thing," she replied, her voice light, but I could see the tension in her body. "Margaret, please, I need you to be honest with me. I've heard things, rumors about you and John. I just need to know the truth." The words tumbled out, fueled by a mix of anxiety and desperation. For a moment, silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Margaret's eyes darted away, and I could see the internal struggle etched on her face.
Finally, she exhaled a shaky breath and looked back at me, her voice trembling. "Diego, I didn't want to hurt you. I've been feeling so lonely. John and it just happened." The world around me faded as her words sank in. I felt as if the ground had been pulled from beneath me, leaving me suspended in disbelief. "You had an affair?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, the pain slicing through me like a sharp blade. "I'm so sorry," she said, tears brimming in her eyes.
I thought I could find excitement again, something to fill the void, but I never meant to hurt you. The betrayal cut deeper than I ever imagined possible. I felt my knees weaken and I sank onto the kitchen chair, my heart pounding in my chest. The anniversary celebration I had planned, filled with love and joy, transformed into a painful confrontation that shattered my world. "How could you do this to us?" I managed to ask, my voice thick with emotion. "We built a life together. 10 years, Margaret. Did it mean nothing?" "I love you, Diego. I still do," she pleaded, stepping closer, but I recoiled, the distance between us feeling insurmountable. "I made a mistake. I want to fix this." The anguish surged within me, threatening to spill over. My mind raced with memories of our life together, the laughter, the dreams, the plans we had made. Now, all of it felt like a cruel joke. "Can we even fix this?" I asked, my voice breaking. "How do we move forward from something like this?" "I don't know," she admitted, her voice trembling. "But I want to try. I'll do whatever it takes." In that moment, I realized I needed support, guidance to navigate the turmoil swirling within me. I reached out to Ryan, my brother, and a few close friends, desperate for clarity in the chaos. As I sought their advice, I felt the weight of the betrayal pressing down on me, but I also sensed a flicker of hope. Perhaps, in time, we could explore the possibility of rebuilding our relationship, of finding a way back to each other through open communication and understanding. But for now, as I sat in the kitchen, surrounded by remnants of what was supposed to be a joyful celebration, I faced the raw reality of our love, a tangled web of trust and heartbreak. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but I knew I had to confront the truth, to decide what our future would hold. As I sat there, the remnants of our anniversary breakfast lay untouched on the table, a stark reminder of the joy that had been so quickly stripped away. My mind raced with thoughts of Margaret and John, the betrayal gnawing my stomach. I needed to process this, to understand how everything had unraveled so quickly. I glanced at the clock, its ticking sound echoing the turmoil in my heart. Margaret stood across from me, her eyes pleading for forgiveness, but I felt a chasm between us that seemed insurmountable. "I never thought it would come to this," she said softly, her voice breaking the silence that hung heavily in the air. "I thought I could find a way to feel alive again without losing you." "By being with John?" I shot back, my voice sharper than I intended. The name echoed in the kitchen, a reminder of the trust that had been shattered. "What did you think would happen? Did you think I wouldn't find out?" "I was foolish," she admitted, her hands trembling. "I didn't want to hurt you. I just felt so alone. And John, he was there. It was a mistake, Diego. A terrible mistake." I wanted to scream, to let the hurt and anger pour out of me, but I felt paralyzed by the weight of her confession. I had devoted a decade of my life to her, and now it felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, staring down into the abyss of uncertainty. "Did you ever think about what this would do to us?" I asked, my voice quieter now, filled with a mix of pain and confusion. "Our life together? Our plans?" "Every day," she replied, tears streaming down her cheeks. "But I was so lost, and I thought I could find a way back to you without admitting I needed help. I thought it was just a phase, something I could brush aside." I shook my head, feeling the frustration seep into every fiber of my being. You don't just brush aside a marriage, Margaret. You don't just throw away 10 years because you feel lonely. I know, she said, stepping closer, but I instinctively took a step back. The physical distance between us reflecting the emotional gap that had widened. I want to fix this, Diego. I love you, and I want to make things right. Love isn't enough, Margaret, I said, my heart aching as I spoke the words. You broke my trust. You broke us. How do we come back from this? The silence that followed was deafening. I could see the desperation in her eyes, but I was too engulfed in my own pain to offer her any comfort. I felt like a stranger in my own home, the walls closing in around me as the reality of our situation sank deeper. I don't know what to do, she finally whispered, her voice barely audible. But I'm willing to do anything to make this work. Therapy, open communication, whatever it takes. Therapy? The words slipped from my lips with a mix of disbelief and hope. Could we really rebuild what had been broken? Do you think that will fix everything? I don't know, she admitted, her voice trembling. But I want to try. I don't want to lose you. Diego, you mean everything to me. I wanted to believe her, but the scars of betrayal felt too fresh, too raw. I needed time to think, to process everything that had happened. I can't just jump back into this, I said finally, my voice steadying. I need space to figure out what I want. Margaret nodded, understanding the weight of my words. I'll give you space. Just know that I'm here and I'll fight for us. I love you. As she spoke those words, I felt a flicker of the love we had shared, but it was buried beneath layers of hurt and anger. I glanced around the kitchen, the remnants of our anniversary celebration mocking me. The pancakes, the orange juice, everything was a reminder of what was lost. I need to talk to someone, I said, my voice firm. I can't handle this alone. Margaret's expression softened. Of course, I understand. Reach out to your brother or friends. You don't have to go through this by yourself. With that, I picked up my phone, my fingers trembling as I scrolled through my contacts. I hesitated before dialing Ryan's number, unsure of what to say. But I knew I needed support, someone who could help me navigate this storm of emotions. Hey, Diego, Ryan answered, his voice warm and familiar. What's up? Can we talk? I asked, my voice heavy with the weight of my reality. It's about Margaret. Sure, man. You okay? He asked, concern creeping into his tone. No, I'm not okay, I replied, feeling the tears well in my eyes. She had an affair with John. Silence fell on the other end of the line. Oh man, I'm so sorry, Ryan finally said, his voice filled with sympathy. What happened? As I recounted the events of the morning, the words tumbled out, a mixture of pain and disbelief. I felt a sense of relief in sharing my burden, but the hurt still lingered like a dark cloud overhead. Have you thought about what you want to do? Ryan asked gently. I don't know, I admitted, my voice cracking. Part of me wants to walk away, but another part wants to fight for what we had. Take your time, Diego. You don't have to rush into any decisions. Just make sure you do what's best for you, he advised. I will, I promised, feeling a sense of gratitude for his support. Thanks for listening. As I hung up the phone, I felt a small glimmer of hope. Perhaps, in time, I could find clarity amid the chaos. I glanced back at Margaret, who stood quietly in the kitchen, her eyes filled with remorse and longing. Let's take it one step at a time, I said, my voice steady. We'll figure this out together, but it's going to take time. Margaret nodded, a flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. I'll do whatever it takes, Diego, I promise. As I looked at her, I realized that while the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, the possibility of rebuilding our love remained. We would face the truth, confront the pain, and, perhaps, find a way to forge a new path forward together. I sat in the cafe, the air thick with the aroma of coffee and freshly baked pastries, but I could hardly focus on anything other than the turmoil swirling inside me. My mind replayed the conversation with Margaret over and over, each word echoing like a haunting melody. The betrayal cut deep, and the image of her with John lingered like a dark shadow, taunting me. I had always suspected something was off, but I never imagined it would lead to this. Margaret had always been my rock, the one I turned to in times of joy and sorrow. Now she felt like a stranger, a woman who had shattered the trust we had built over a decade. I had meticulously planned our anniversary celebration, a surprise getaway meant to rekindle the flame of our love. Instead, I was left grappling with the cold reality of her infidelity. I glanced around the cafe, watching couples laugh and share intimate moments. Each laugh felt like a dagger to my heart. I couldn't shake the feeling of isolation, the weight of betrayal pressing down on me. It was a stark contrast to the love I had envisioned celebrating with Margaret. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart. I had to make a decision, but the path forward felt obscured by clouds of doubt and pain. Just then, I noticed Margaret walk through the door, her eyes scanning the room until they landed on me. I felt a mixture of anger and sadness wash over me as she approached. Her face was drawn, and I could see the remnants of tears still glistening in her eyes. "Diego," she said, softly, her voice trembling, "can we talk?" I nodded slowly, unsure of what to say. "What more is there to say, Margaret?" I replied, my voice edged with bitterness. "You've already said enough." "I know I hurt you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I want to explain. I don't want to lose you." "Explain? What could you possibly say that would make this any better?" I shot back, my anger bubbling to the surface. "You had an affair. You betrayed me with John. How do you think that makes me feel?" Her eyes widened, and I could see the pain reflected in them. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I was feeling so lost, Diego. I thought I could find something I was missing, something to fill the void. But it was a mistake. I love you, and I want to fix this." "Love isn't enough, Margaret," I replied, my heart aching as I spoke. "You broke my trust. You shattered everything we built together. How do we come back from this?" "I don't know," she admitted, her voice trembling. "But I want to try. I can't imagine my life without you. I'll do anything to make this right." I stared at her, searching her eyes for any sign of sincerity. "Anything?" I asked, my voice steady but laced with skepticism. "Are you really willing to do whatever it takes? Because it won't be easy." "I am," she insisted, determination creeping into her tone. "I'll go to therapy, I'll be open and honest. Just please, don't give up on us." Hearing her say that ignited a flicker of hope within me, but I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal that still hung in the air. "Therapy? You think that will magically fix everything?" I asked, my voice softer now, almost pleading for clarity. "I don't know," she replied, her eyes glistening with tears. "But I want to try. I want to understand what led me to this point. I want us to be whole again." I took a moment to gather my thoughts, the weight of her words pressing down on me. "Margaret, I need time. I can't just jump back into this. I need to process everything that's happened." She nodded, her expression sorrowful yet understanding. "I'll give you the time you need. Just know that I'm here and I'm willing to fight for us." The conversation felt like a fragile thread, delicate and easily frayed. I needed to reach out for support beyond this moment, someone who could help me navigate the storm brewing inside me. "I think I need to talk to someone," I finally said, my voice steady. "I can't handle this alone." "Of course," she replied, her voice softening. "Talk to your brother or friends. You don't have to go through this by yourself." As she spoke those words, I felt the weight of my reality pressing down on me. I pulled out my phone, my fingers trembling as I scrolled through my contacts. I hesitated before dialing Ryan's number, unsure of what to say. But I knew I needed support, someone who could help me through this chaos. As I recounted the events of that morning, the words tumbled out, a mixture of pain and disbelief. Sharing my burden felt like a small release, but the hurt still lingered like a dark cloud overhead. "Have you thought about what you want to do?" Ryan asked gently. As I hung up the phone, I felt a flicker of hope amidst the darkness. I glanced back at Margaret, who stood quietly at the cafe, her eyes filled with remorse and longing. "Let's take it one step at a time," I said, my voice steady.
"We'll figure this out together, but it's going to take time." In that moment, I realized that while the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, the possibility of rebuilding our love remained. We would face the truth, confront the pain, and, perhaps, find a way to forge a new path forward together. Margaret entered the cafe, her presence a mix of hope and dread. I could see the tremor in her hands as she approached. The warmth of the coffee shop contrasted sharply with the coldness I felt inside. My heart raced, torn between the love I once had for her and the betrayal that now loomed large. "Diego," she said softly, her voice trembling, "can we talk?" I nodded slowly, my throat tight with emotion. "What more is there to say, Margaret?" I replied, the bitterness in my tone unmistakable. "You've already said enough." "I know I hurt you," she whispered, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "But I want to explain. I don't want to lose you." "Explain? What could you possibly say that would make this any better?" I shot back, anger bubbling to the surface. "You had an affair. You betrayed me with John. How do you think that makes me feel?" Her eyes widened, pain evident on her face. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I was feeling so lost, Diego. I thought I could find something I was missing, something to fill the void. But it was a mistake. I love you, and I want to fix this." "Love isn't enough, Margaret," I replied, my heart aching with every word. "You broke my trust. You shattered everything we built together. How do we come back from this?" I searched her eyes, looking for sincerity. "Anything?" I asked, my voice steady yet skeptical. "Are you really willing to do whatever it takes? Because it won't be easy." Hearing her words ignited a flicker of hope within me, yet I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal that still hung in the air. "Therapy? You think that will magically fix everything?" I asked, my voice softening, almost pleading for clarity. The conversation felt fragile, like a thread ready to snap. I needed support beyond this moment, someone who could help me navigate the storm brewing inside me. "I think I need to talk to someone," I finally said, my voice steady. "I can't handle this alone." As I hung up the phone, I glanced back at Margaret, who stood quietly at the cafe, her eyes filled with remorse and longing. "Let's take it one step at a time," I said, my voice steady. "We'll figure this out together, but it's going to take time." But just then, as I attempted to gather my thoughts, John entered the cafe. The air shifted, tension thickening between us. I felt my stomach drop as he approached, the man who had been the catalyst for all this pain. Margaret's expression changed, a mixture of fear and guilt crossing her face. "Margaret," John said, his voice smooth yet tainted with arrogance, "we need to talk." I felt my knees weaken, a wave of emotions crashing over me. This was the moment I had dreaded, the confrontation that could either lead to closure or further chaos. "John, this isn't the time," Margaret said, her voice barely above a whisper, but I could see the hesitation in her eyes. "Why not? You think we can just pretend this never happened?" John challenged, his gaze locked on her. I stood up, fists clenched at my sides. "You need to leave," I said, my voice low but firm. "This is between Margaret and me." "Is it though?" John shot back, a smirk on his face. "You think this is over? You think she'll just forget about what we had?"
The room felt like it was closing in on me. "You don't get to dictate this," I said, struggling to keep my composure. "You've already taken enough from us." Margaret stepped between us, her voice rising. "Stop it, both of you." She turned to John, her expression fierce. "I chose Diego. I want to fight for our marriage, not for whatever this is." John's smirk faltered, replaced by a look of disbelief. "You really think you can just walk away from this?" "I have to try," Margaret replied, her voice steady. "I owe that to myself, and I owe it to Diego." As John's expression darkened, I felt a surge of emotion: anger, fear, but also determination. I was ready to confront this truth, ready to fight for the love we had shared for so long. Margaret's eyes met mine, and in that moment, I knew we had a chance. Together, we could face the storm and emerge stronger, no matter what lay ahead. The cafe was buzzing with the morning crowd, but for me, time felt suspended. Margaret and I sat at a small table, the air thick with unspoken words, the weight of our shared history pressing down on us. After John had left, the tension lingered, a palpable reminder of the betrayal that had brought us to this moment. I could see the flicker of hope in Margaret's eyes, but it was overshadowed by the shadows of doubt and pain that loomed between us. "I can't believe he just walked in like that," I said, breaking the silence. My voice was steadier than I felt, but the anger still simmered beneath the surface. "He has no right to come here and act like nothing happened." Margaret nodded, her hands trembling slightly as she wrapped them around her coffee cup. "I know. I didn't expect him to show up here, especially not after everything." Her voice was soft, almost fragile, and I could see the turmoil in her eyes as she struggled with the consequences of her actions. "Do you regret it?" I asked, the question hanging in the air like a loaded gun. I needed to know if she understood the gravity of what had happened. "Do you regret what you did with him?" Her gaze fell to the table, and I could see the tears welling up in her eyes. "Yes, I do. It was a mistake, Diego. I was lost and confused, and I thought I could find something outside of us. But I was wrong. I see that now." I took a deep breath, trying to process her words. "You have to understand how much this hurts me. Margaret, I thought we were happy. I thought we were building a life together." My heart ached at the thought of the years we had spent together, the dreams we had shared, now tainted by betrayal. "I thought so too," she whispered, her voice breaking. "But I lost sight of that. I let my insecurities and loneliness take over. I never wanted to hurt you. I love you, Diego." The sincerity in her tone made my heart ache. I wanted to believe her, to trust that she could change, but the scars of betrayal were deep. "Love isn't enough when trust is broken," I replied, my voice heavy with the weight of my emotions. "How can I trust you again?" Margaret reached out, her fingers brushing against mine. "I know it's going to take time. I'm willing to put in the work. I'll go to therapy, I'll be open and honest, I'll do whatever it takes to prove to you that I want to fix this." Her determination stirred something within me, a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. "And what if it's not enough?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "What if we can't come back from this?"
"Then we'll face that together," she replied, her eyes steady. "But I believe we can. I want to believe we can. I love you, Diego, and I want to fight for us."
I felt the tears threatening to spill over as I searched her gaze. "It's just so hard, Margaret. The pain is still fresh, and I don't know how to move past it."
"I understand," she said softly, "but I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. I want to show you that I can be the wife you deserve. Please, just give me a chance."
As I looked into her eyes, I saw a glimmer of the woman I had fallen in love with. But the road ahead was uncertain, and I couldn't ignore the fear that gripped my heart. "I need time," I finally said, my voice steady but filled with vulnerability. "I can't just jump back into this. I need to process everything.
Take all the time you need, she replied, her voice filled with understanding. I'll wait for you, Diego.
I promise. The sincerity in her words gave me a sense of comfort, yet the doubt remained. I don't want to hold you back. If you think you can't wait, if you think you need to move on, don't say that, she interrupted, her voice firm. I don't want to move on. I want to be with you. I want to fix this. We sat in silence for a moment, the world around us fading away as we faced the reality of our situation. I need to talk to someone, I finally admitted, feeling the weight of my emotions pressing down on me. I can't handle this alone. I nodded, grateful for her support, but the thought of sharing my pain with others felt daunting. I will, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I just don't know where to start. Just be honest, she said gently. You deserve to be heard, Diego. You deserve support. As I looked at her, I felt a flicker of hope amidst the turmoil. Maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to rebuild what had been broken. The road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but the possibility of healing was worth exploring. Weeks passed, and life continued. I took time to reflect, seeking solace in the support of my friends and family. Ryan was there for me, listening without judgment as I poured out my heart. He encouraged me to take things one day at a time, to focus on my own healing before making any decisions about Margaret. Margaret, for her part, was committed to her own journey of growth. She attended therapy, sought to understand her actions, and worked to rebuild her own sense of self. We communicated openly, sharing our fears and hopes, and slowly, the walls between us began to crumble. One chilly November morning, I found myself at the cafe again, a familiar place that had been the backdrop to our confrontation. I sat at the same table, reflecting on how far we had come since that day. Margaret walked in, a smile on her face, and my heart swelled at the sight of her. "Hey," she said softly, taking a seat across from me. "How are you feeling today?" "Better," I replied, feeling the warmth of her presence. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about what we want moving forward." Her eyes sparkled with hope. "And?" "I think we can find a way to rebuild," I said, my voice steady. "It won't be easy, but I'm willing to try. I want us to face this together." Margaret's smile widened, and I felt a sense of relief wash over me. "I'm so grateful, Diego. I promise to keep working on myself and our relationship." As we shared our hopes and fears, I realized that while the journey ahead would be challenging, we were ready to face it together. We had both learned valuable lessons about love, trust, and the importance of communication. The road to healing was just beginning, but for the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful about our future. Together, we would forge a new path forward, hand in hand.